Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and introduce you week 13, November the 10th through the 16th. We're still looking at the preterite tense. You want to study pages 220 to 222 and pages 234 to 236, and you want to review pages 146 to 179. After completing this week's assignments, you all should be able to report past events and activities. You should also be able to demonstrate that you can recall the vocabulary needed to order meals and discuss cooking and recipes. You also need to demonstrate that you can use the verbs dar and decir and indirect object pronouns to talk about things and express to or for whom something is intended. You also need to demonstrate that you can use the verb gustar and other verbs like gustar to express your likes and dislikes. All of this week's assignments are due on the 14th. You want to start this week like all others by watching the Instructure Made videos. There are videos that go over irregular verbs in the preterite tense. After you watch the videos, then you'll want to come back out here, click on the class participation form, click on the thread, hit reply, and post any questions or concerns you have about the material either covered in the videos or covered in class. We are also taking a test on chapter 6. Okay, on chapter 6. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about the test. The online class, this is the printed version of the test. It's the same test, it's just in an online format. So you're going to start off by listening to the eating habits of Manuel and Aldo. If you were in my online class, you'll hear a recording of this. If you were in the face-to-face class, I'm going to read this to you, and then you'll have various statements. You'll decide whether they are true, false, or not mentioned based upon what you've heard in the recording or the reading about the eating habits of Manuel and Aldo. Identificar, label each of the following pictures. Be sure to include the appropriate definite article. You need to have a the in front of it. This is your coffee maker, apples, steak, cheese, and bread. Then down here, there are definitions. And up at the top, there are various vocabulary words. Match the vocabulary word with its definition. Then down here, we're looking at the pronombres. Choose the answer that best completes each sentence. You're filling in the indirect object pronoun that is missing from each sentence. Here you have dar or decir. You're reading each sentence and deciding whether dar or decir would complete it, and you have two choices for each. So once you've decided between dar and decir, pick the spelling that matches the subject, the person who's doing the saying, the telling, or the giving, and write either it or the letter in the blank. Then, que les gusta, complete each of the following sentences by selecting the most logical verb. So remember, these are verbs that are like gustar. You pick the one of the two choices given that makes the most sense, and then the spelling that makes the most sense. And remember, we usually conjugate these verbs into third person singular and third person plural because the subject is actually the thing that's boring to you or the thing that pleases you, not to whom the thing is boring or to whom the thing is pleasing. Here it says, los verbos en el pretérito. Complete the following sentences with the correct preterite form of the logical verb in parentheses. You just pick the verb in parentheses that most likely complete or best completes the sentence, and then conjugate it into the preterite tense, saying that they did these things yesterday, as opposed to they do them on a regular basis. These are, remember we talked about some irregularities. These are verbs that end in CAR, GAR, and ZAR. They are all in the yo form where their irregularity occurs. So just pick the verb that would best complete the sentence and then conjugate it correctly, making sure you make that spelling change that we discussed in class. In el pasado, complete the following sentences by choosing the appropriate verb. It's preterite again. You're given, I think it's usually two verbs in multiple formats. I'm sorry, not multiple formats, but two different spellings of two different verbs. Pick the verb that would best complete the sentence and then the spelling that matches who it is that's either doing the asking or the listening, etc. And that's everything that you have to do for your test. So you also have assignment 13 where you're going to go into My Language Labs and you're going to click on these SAM activities and extra practice activities. So you'll click on My Language Labs right here. Okay, and that'll take you into My Language Labs. And then you're going to want to click on your course calendar. And then you're going to want to click on the 14th. And the assignments are going to pop up in the middle. You click on each one and complete it. Remember, you can do it as many times as you would like before the due date. I think after the third try, it's going to give you the right answers. But if you're doing it more than 3 times, I suggest reaching out to me for help. Then we have oral dialogue 3 preparation. You are to critique a fellow classmate's script this week. So when you open up oral dialogue 3, you won't see your script anymore. You're going to see a fellow classmate's. You know the drill. Go through and critique them, as well as I will go through and critique them. And then the week of the 17th, you'll actually do the recording using the critique scripts. And that's everything you have to do for week 13.